In this video, you'll learn the basic steps required when launching farmer-managed natural regeneration, or FMNR, with a new community. Introducing FMNR requires careful planning and consideration. As every community is different, each FMNR rollout will be unique, and it should be designed accordingly. However, every engagement shares basic features such as scoping of the community and environment, sensitisation meetings, training, community FMNR planning, ongoing follow-up, and supporting FMNR champions. Scoping of the community and environment. When scoping, think about how your community will benefit from FMNR and ensure that you're introducing it somewhere that has a need for environmental restoration and would benefit from the integration of more trees into crop, communal and pastoral lands. Most communities will benefit from FMNR, but it's good to make sure you understand the community's need before talking to community members. Do your best to have a deep understanding of all the social, economic and environmental issues within the community, including any existing projects or programs that FMNR might complement. This includes the history of the area and how it has shaped the current status of land and vegetation. Seek to understand what tree and land use practices are in the area, as well as any standing laws or regulations regarding environmental protection of trees. Laws regarding farming practices, such as slash and burn, that could either help or hinder the project are also important. Try to find out how vegetation and land was managed in the past. Often you will find lapsed traditional land management systems which could be revived to great advantage. Furthermore, learn about potential social issues around land management, such as pastoralist or farmer conflicts, or exclusive land use by more powerful parties. Before meeting with the community, ensure that you've gained buy-in from local leaders and key community members. Make time to sit with them and explain the concept of FMNR and how it can help their community. Use knowledge from local leaders and key community members to select meeting times that will ensure everyone in the community is included and can access the venue. Be particularly mindful of women, people living with disabilities and other marginalised groups. In summary, know why you are going to introduce FMNR. Understand relevant social, economic and environmental issues. Know the relevant history of land use. Understand relevant local laws. Investigate how land was managed successfully or otherwise in the past. Get understanding and buy-in from local leaders. Set suitable times for sensitisation meetings with the community. Sensitisation meetings. In your first community meeting, don't immediately start with FMNR. Instead, have an open discussion with the community members about their relationship with the environment. Select which prompts you want to use to start a conversation with the community about the environmental issues they are facing. A popular method used by World Vision Australia's Tony Rinaudo, the pioneer of FMNR, is to discuss what the environment used to look like in the past and what it looks like now. The older members of the community will likely remember times when the soil was more fertile and there was more tree cover. Discuss what has changed. Did more people come? Were unsustainable farming practices used? For example, slash and burn? What challenges does the community now face because of this degradation? When you've discussed what has changed in the environment, use this momentum to get people to talk about the kind of environment they wish for their children and future generations. You can ask the community different questions so long as your prompts are getting the group to deeply consider the issues of land degradation and the loss of tree cover. The conversation is going in the right direction. Most importantly, listen. Listen to what they already know about the value of trees. Women often have a great amount of knowledge and experience in traditional tree knowledge. Ask about how trees were managed in the past and if anybody is already protecting trees. You may be surprised that FMNR, in one form or another, is not new at all. If this is the case, you will have a firm foundation to build on. In summary, during the sensitisation meeting, you want the community to understand that the destruction and degradation of the environment has had a negative impact on community well-being. Human intervention, alongside a changing climate, has caused these issues. Things will likely get worse if no change is made. And that a change is possible and within reach of the community. When the community understands and have reached this conclusion, it is time to introduce the practice of FMNR. It is very important to offer hope that a better future is possible, and this is best done by describing how other communities have turned their situation around through the adoption of FMNR. You can use the inspiring story of Tony Rinaudo and Niger, or if you can find a more localised example, this could be equally inspiring to the community members. Ensure that the community are interested, engaged, or want to know more before setting time for training or future meetings. If they aren't, engage in more discussion about what their concerns are and use the troubleshooting guide in the FMNR manual. Talk about potential constraints to the success of FMNR. For example, local laws. You don't need to come to agreements in this meeting, but it's good to identify them as something to be addressed in the future. If possible, arrange for a diverse representation of community members to visit a nearby FMNR site. Visiting other areas and speaking with community members who have had success can help build trust. When people hear fellow community members speak positively about how FMNR has impacted them, there is a higher chance others will adopt it too. Agree on the next steps required to hold further community meetings, or, if people are already ready, an FMNR training session. During this meeting, the community may naturally begin to start working out their community plan for FMNR rollout. By the end of the meeting, you should have introduced the idea of FMNR and its benefits, agreed on when some FMNR training or additional community discussion could happen, started planning what an FMNR rollout in this community might look like. Training. Once the community are ready to start learning about the practice, it's time to start demonstrating the physical practice of pruning. We have a great video called How to Do FMNR that will show you the key steps. But you can also refer to the FMNR Manual Chapter 4, How to Practice FMNR. Both are available on the FMNR Hub website. Community FMNR Planning. Now that you have introduced FMNR to the community and trained up members who are willing to adopt the practice, you need to work with the community to come up with an FMNR plan. This could include where people go for more training, what local laws need to be enforced, or what new laws are needed. Where possible, try and include some training on advocacy so the community can fight for laws that support FMNR. It could also include plans to form FMNR groups to work on communal land, or plans for production of complementary forest products like honey. At this stage, you can also work with the community to decide how FMNR will complement or be integrated within other existing community programs, such as savings groups. Community follow-up. In these early stages, it is very important to pay the community regular visits. This is helpful for local staff as they will build friendships and trust, as well as gain a better picture of the reality on the ground, such as what the constraints and opportunities are. This type of follow-up is very important, especially in the early stages when adopters are most likely to encounter resistance and problems. Others may ridicule or even destroy their work. Livestock or fire may damage their trees. It is very important for practitioners to know that they are supported and that successful FMNR projects experience similar challenges. For more information about community follow-up and troubleshooting, please read Chapter 5 and 6 of the FMNR Manual, or read our troubleshooting guide. Both are available on the FMNR Hub at fmnrhub.com. In summary, Follow-up visits should be regular, supportive, and a chance for peer-to-peer learning. Supporting FMNR champions. FMNR champions are individuals who are passionate about FMNR and willing to share their passion and knowledge with other community members. They may even assist project staff with ongoing monitoring of FMNR. Champions can emerge at many stages of the project. There may be community members who are enthusiastic from day one, or those who have been converted after seeing the success of a neighbour. If a person has genuine passion for FMNR and the time to support others, they are a potential FMNR champion. If possible, arrange a Train the Trainers workshop so they can be upskilled in both the technical practice of FMNR and the soft skill of how to deliver training. Support them to deliver targeted training or troubleshooting sessions with project staff. Agree on what support they will continue to give. Will they just be called upon as needed? Will their farm become a drop-in learning centre? Will they be taking time each month to visit a small number of neighbouring farmers practising FMNR? Make sure you continually check in with these champions to ensure they are happy with their role. It is not advised that FMNR champions be paid for their role, as this will not be sustainable. However, it is advisable that any travel costs be reimbursed. If your project is heavily relying on the champions as key project members and they are unable to do their normal work or farming, then they should be paid. FMNR champions need to be enthusiastic and truly believing in FMNR, diverse and representing the whole community, available and someone freely willing to give their time. FMNR champions can help with training other community members, monitoring FMNR uptake, maintaining a demonstration plot on their own farm, FMNR promotion. Let's recap. Begin by scoping the community and working with key figures to understand how FMNR will benefit this community. Introduce the idea to the community through a sensitisation meeting. When the community understands and has accepted the idea, you can provide practical training in FMNR. It's then time for the community to come up with their own plan for how FMNR will be spread, promoted, and supported in their own context. Next, ongoing follow-up to select and support FMNR champions is required to ensure the sustainability and community ownership of this practice. Continue to engage the community by doing follow-up visits and supporting FMNR champions. This will lay the foundation for a sustainable FMNR movement that will exist long after your project or program has ended. For more information, please visit the FMNR Hub at fmnrhub.com.